Come on, baby. Oh, yeah. Taking me out to sea. Got one. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Wow. Think about that. Freaking day. But finally paid off. Hello, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Casting Across Texas. So for this episode, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to go ahead and do my first lure tips and techniques video. Before I get started, as always, if you are taking the time to watch this video, be sure to hit the like button. And also, if you have any questions, anything that I may not cover, because I know there's a lot of information that I might not get to, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a question, and I will definitely get back with you on those questions that you might have. So, with that in mind, after putting quite a bit of thought into it, I decided to go ahead and share one of my favorite lures, and one that's really done well for me this year. It's done well both from the bank as well as my kayak, and that lure is the Hybrid Hunter Junior. There's one. First one. On the Hybrid Hunter. Now, before I go any further, I do want to go ahead and give a disclaimer. I know there are a lot of YouTube anglers out there that have already done videos on the Hybrid Hunter, including professional anglers. With that in mind, my thought here is I want to give you my own tips and techniques that have worked for me, and then allow you to add that information perhaps to stuff that you've already learned and help you increase your knowledge, increase your skill with this great lure. First, I want to go ahead and start out with the basics, and that's to talk a little bit about the rod and reel that I use when I'm throwing the Hybrid Hunter Junior. So my rod is a 6'7", 13 fishing Fate Black. It's a medium power fast action rod. As a side note, I do like to use the medium power fast action rods with all my treble hook lures, and the reason for that is I like the sensitivity. Now, I know when you watch a lot of the guys out there, they will recommend a medium power moderate action. For me, I do like the fast action, and again, that's because I like the sensitivity that the fast action gives me. So that's just my own personal preference, and that's, of course, that's going to be up to you what you want to use. For my reel, what my reel is, it's a 13 fishing Origin F1. This is a 6:6 to 1 gear ratio, and my line that I use is, and this is for a majority of my treble hook lures, any lure that's not a top water. What I use most of the time is a 10-pound fluorocarbon line. So now what I want to get into is a little bit about where I like to throw the Hybrid Hunter Junior. When I'm on the bank, what I like to do is throw it as much as possible parallel to the bank. If there are reeds, I'm going to look for that. I'm going to throw parallel to that, as well as grass beds. And also going to throw over the top of submerged grass whenever I can do that as well. And actually, this is going to apply when I'm in my kayak also. Oh yeah. Get my grips here because I do not want to get a treble hook in my finger. I've done it before and it is not fun. There she is. Not bad at all. She's fat. She's definitely feeding up. Got her on the chartreuse hybrid hunter. So this would probably also be a great time for me to go ahead and talk a little bit about how deep the hybrid hunter junior is going to typically run. It's definitely not a deep water lure at all. It's usually going to run about 2 to 4 foot. That's what it's actually rated as, 2 to 4 foot depth. And with that said, what I like to do a lot of times is throw it over the tops of submerged grass beds. Also, it's probably a good time for me to point out that it does float. So what I do a lot of times is I reel it till it just touches the top of that grass, and then I'll pause it. And what happens is that the lure come float to the top of the surface of the water. What happens then is that'll keep that from getting stuck in the grass. Now, what happens a majority of the time, in fact, is a lot of the bites that I get are going to be on that pause. And I can say from experience that almost every bass I've caught with this Hybrid Hunter Junior has pretty much slammed it. Second one on the Hybrid Hunter Junior. This, I don't know, it might be the biggest one yet, I'm not sure. It's definitely a good one though. I switched back to the Hybrid Hunter because I was seeing bait busting. So I figured the bass were chasing the bait. And it's almost this first or second cast and she hit it hard. Really hard. First I thought I was stuck. Something else that I've really recently just noticed is that it's a great lure to use when you can see that the bass are just chasing the bait fish just below the surface of the water. I'll throw it out there right where I see the bait fish busting, and I've caught quite a few that way. So it's a great lure for that type of presentation. Okay, if you ever get a chance, you should definitely watch some of the videos out there that show the Hybrid Hunter, the action under the water. It actually has an L-shaped bill, which is kind of unusual for a crankbait. But what it does is it gives it a unique swimming action that really seems to get those bass's attention. I should also go ahead and point out that it has a really, really loud rattle. While I've had some success on calm days, where the bait has really shined for me has been on those days where there's a little bit of chop, a little bit of wind out there on the lake. Now, another thing I definitely want to go over, and this is probably something a lot of you have already been asking yourselves, is what type of retrieve do I use? So for me, what I'll do, I guess there's, one or two, maybe three various types of retrieves that I do. I want them to be, I'll throw it out, I'll do a steady retrieve, I'll pause, retrieve again, pause. And again, since that lure floats to the top, a lot of times you will get the strikes when that pause is in there. The bass will hit it really hard. Another thing is I'll throw it out, and you can pull it down to depth, and then do it similar to jerk bait. Jerk, pause, jerk, pause. Again, irregular is the key there. And then also you can do a yo-yo type retrieve where you throw it out, pull it down, let it float, pull it down, let it float, that type of thing. So those are the retrieves I use. And honestly, I haven't found a retrieve that I haven't caught a fish on. I mean, you almost can't fish this lure any wrong way. There's just about a million different ways to do it. So whatever you do, it's going to work. Those are just three that I found that work for me. So finally, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the colors that I use, as well as when and why. Now, I do have 4 colors that for me are going to fit the majority of the scenarios that I do find myself fishing, all right? Now, this first one probably isn't going to be any surprise. It's going to be red, okay? The red here is obviously going to be my go-to during the post-spawn in late winter and early spring here in Texas. So this red is great for that time of year. And you can see the little L-shaped bill that gives it that unusual action that the bass go crazy for. And then also there's that rattle. My second and probably my most often used color is this one here. This is called a Clearwater Minnow color. Again, you can see the bill. You can also see on this one it's actually fairly clear. I usually start throwing this one in the spawn and post-spawn, and really I'm going to probably be using this one the majority of the year after the spawn. Now, one thing about this is it's really good if you're fishing in lakes, ponds that have a main forage of bluegill, perch. That's what this really works for. Also, with it being so translucent, this bait in particular is really great. I love to use it when the water is clear and there's clear bluebird skies as well. So that's a great time to use this particular color. Next is going to be the green gizzard. As you can imagine, this one's going to shine anywhere that you're fishing where the main forage is going to be shad, and that's going to be a majority of the lakes here in Texas. So I've done really well with this on lakes around here, Decker Lake, Lake Bastrop, and some of the other bigger lakes I've had an opportunity to fish. This is a great color for that. Finally is the one that I've had the most success with here recently, and if you've watched any of my videos, you've probably seen me do pretty well with this one. And this is going to be the black and blackback and chartreuse. This one is going to do outstanding anytime you're fishing stained water, any kind of conditions where it's hard to see. This one's really shined for me a lot and done really well. So that's a wrap. This again, this was my first lure tips and tricks video. So hopefully I've given you all some ideas that you can use the next time you're out on the water in a boat, in a kayak, or even from the bank. The Hybrid Hunter Junior, in my experience, is an awesome lure, and you're going to be able to have a lot of success with it once you get it out on the water. As always, I thank you all for watching. I definitely would appreciate any feedback, being that, again, this is my first tips and tricks video. So I appreciate any thoughts, any ideas that you might have to help me improve. If some of the stuff I might have done right, I appreciate comments on that as well. Also, don't hesitate to ask any question on something I may not have covered. I know there's a lot of information that I didn't get to go over, but if I don't know the answer, I will definitely get back with you on any questions that you have. With that said, you all have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.